own tools. Who wouldn't?
We heard that and we were like, wait, what?
I was like, he always brings. Yes, of course he has his ladder.
Well, and I was like, number one, I have better tools than they do.
Yeah.
I was like, so don't steal my tools while I'm on your lot. But two, I'm like, who's not bringing their tools?
I have questions if you're not bringing your own
who's
ladder.
Who's not
right?
bringing a ladder? We know the answer to that.
We do know the answer.
Hey, y'all, I'm Mike, the RV inspector and technician.
And I'm Elizabeth. I run our business.
And welcome to the Cozy Camper Podcast. Oh, hello, Elizabeth.
Hello, Mike.
It's so wonderful to be back in the podcast with you because I have no one else to interview.
Rude. It's been a while, though.
Yeah, when was the last time we did it?
At the beginning of the season, so back in September, I think.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
When we got back to Texas.
Which has been very different than Illinois.
Yes. In a great way.
We've been slammed.
Yes. Between inspections and training and speaking at the expo in Athens. It's been a crazy month.
Yeah,
few months, honestly.
October was our best month ever.
Inspection-wise.
We did 22 inspections.
And then November would have been a close second had we not had so much training and other things. But you still did a ton of inspections, even with all those interruptions.
I think it still was like 15 inspections.
It's crazy.
Which is still, from like a year ago, that's like a great month. But now that we know that we can do 22 inspections a month, I will only accept 22 inspections.
For those listening and those who have been listening for a long time, you'll know some of our early conversations and even honestly recent conversations were about how it's slow and steady and how it's taken grinding and pivoting and like it finally feels like we're reaping the benefits, if you will,
yes,
of the work we've done. Like we're finally kind of putting our heads above water and like, wow, this is what it could be like. So
yes, after all the trials and tribulations, it's like, okay, cool. Have we made it? Is this what it is? Like,
now we're kind of, I think, both staying grounded and like continuing to do what we do and continuing to grind and not expect this to continue. We're still going under the assumption that it could end tomorrow, right? We're still trying to treat it very much like it's special and because it is really cool.
And the other thing is that we've kind of jettisoned everything that isn't like super focused on our RV inspection goal. Like, so we're trying not to do repairs. We've kind of stopped doing affiliate partnerships with outside entities. Not that we won't do one, but we've scaled back what we're doing.
Yes.
And we still have our class, but I wanted to make 2 more courses, and I'm like, the time will come for that. But it's like, hey, let's focus on who and what we are, and that's RV inspections.
Yeah, well, also we spent some time when we were kind of slow in Illinois really focusing on our vision, our values, our mission statement, and now we have something to refer to when we're trying to figure out what opportunities we want to take and what paths we want to go down. We're like, does it meet these kind of goals? Does it share the vision? And if it doesn't, then it's gone.
And that has helped. This is the great example, and I'm going to both agree with our mission, vision, and values and violate them in the same thought. Okay. So, because this is a great time to do it. This came up when the Vingate for Newmar was going on. And I watched it. If you don't know, there's a bunch of great videos about it. I'm not going to get into the details. And I was going to make this whole video about it. But then you were like, that doesn't really fit our mission, vision, and values. And I was like, you're right. But just because you see a video on the internet where it makes all these allegations doesn't make it really true. And that's something that
is part of
something that's part of it. So like with that video, I watched it. I'm like, okay, cool. 2 things are both simultaneously true. One is that there was evidently, according to the Border Patrol, a defect with the VIN. That's true based on everybody's statements. But at the same time, it is also true that this person committed a violation of law knowingly the second time when he came into the United States trying to sell that vehicle, having not yet resolved the border crossing issue the first time. But also, I don't want to chase headlines.
Right.
That's
what we felt like it would be, rather than actually, informing people of like the truth or a version of the truth, if you will. I don't know. But we felt like it was more so just trying to get views, not actually intentionally trying to help people. So
the Vorlons would say that truth is a 3-edged sword. Our side, your side, and actual reality. Yeah. But no, so we're trying to step back from that, and there's a lot of that going on right now, like with the you know, like can you or can you not use a space heater in an RV? And everybody wants to see things as like black and white, and it's not usually that way. Like there's a really good argument that you shouldn't use a space heater in an RV. It's a really sound argument that I tend to agree with, but there are arguments against it.
Yes.
So I don't recommend that you use a space heater in your RV, especially if it's a 30 amp RV. But it's not black and white. The same way that all these content creators, they put videos out and they're like, "Oh, we love XYZ widget," and you're like, "Well, no, you made $50 and you make 40 cents on every click that you get on the link." So we're like, let's take a step back, and let's focus on what makes us us, and that's RV inspections and helping people camp worry free. That's the whole point.
So if the product is one that meets our approval, so we've used it, we actually enjoy it, it improves our life in some way, we will support it.
Right.
Not to say that automatically means we're going to do an affiliate partnership, but it has to kind of meet more requirements than it did in the beginning.
Yes, we're more restrictive.
So,
and like there are some products that are cool. I like them.
Absolutely, yeah.
But if it doesn't really help you enjoy worry-free camping, then we're not going to get involved with it. So, like a great example would be like we worked with Timbrin, which made a huge difference on our towing. So like, that made an appreciable difference, but it's not like a widget that tells me what the temperature in my black tank is. Like it's cool. I guess that would be fine, but it doesn't really help me camp. There is no tool to help you measure the black tank temperature, but that would be a funny widget. I bet if somebody invented it, we could get some influencers lined up and we could sell it.
I bet you
right?
could. I've also, though, gotten in the habit of just sharing posts at no cost for no charge kind of thing, like ones that I know to be great products or a great company. Like, for example, Unique. We do not have an official partnership with Unique.
No.
However, we know them to be a really great business, really great people. Right? You did the podcast with them.
Cool dudes.
Yeah, like just we assess them to just be really good people with a really great product that we've always used. We've never actually used anything but Unique.
And from the very, it wasn't the first product we ever used, but I think we've used it.
It's the one we've stuck with though,
for
consistently,
years.
And so that's one where I think I randomly made a reel just showing what I do, like how I clean our black tank and our gray tank and our toilet, and like it was just genuine, and I don't mind doing that. I think that's. Keeps us honest. I think it keeps us real. People can see like the products we actually use, actually like, without being like they're paying us to do that.
Right, and that's I think it's huge. That's what we want to do, and why we've pivoted a little bit. And then speaking of pivots, like we're trying to figure out what to do with our social media, because because we've been so busy, I am struggling to maintain the production schedule of just making all these reels. And when we were really in the weeds of trying to do all affiliate partners, it was like a whole other job,
because there was a timeline that we had to meet in order to kind of
and deliverables and metrics that we had to hit.
So it kind of complicated it, whereas now you just take inspection videos that you already have, that you already made, and you just cut them into a reel.
Right.
So it's not that it's not work, but it's not quite as intense as...
There's a difference between making the content and being the content.
Right.
And if I want to be the content, then I have to be authentic. And if I stand up and I'm like, check out this widget, like, okay, is it a good widget that actually helps?
Yeah.
I'm not knocking any of the things that we've worked on before. In fact, I'm proud of every product we've ever put out there. But if it's not if it's not making a difference if it's just some convenience thing, I'm not super interested in it. If it actually helps, like we've done water, that helps.
Yes.
Right? Blue Tech, that helps. We've done Gen
Significantly.
Y, that helps. But again, I'm just kind of against the widgets, and
I agree.
I'm really against being dishonest, and I don't want to say like, I see all these videos right now about a specific dealership chain, a big one that's color blue, and that everybody rags about, right? Everybody gets upset about this dealership, and then I see these reels from people that have told me how much they hate this dealership, but they're willing to cash the check to be like, oh yeah, I went to this dealership and this is what they have and it's so great, and it's so disingenuous, and I won't be involved with that conversation.
Right.
That's not for me. And speaking of bad dealerships, that's what we wanted to talk about today. So we have seen it evolve from when we were first starting to now, and we're watching the industry react like in slow motion to the existence of the RV inspector. And what you see when you watch our videos is you see me say, "Hey, look at all these things that are broken on the RV." But that's like just the start of it, right? Because every RV has something broken. Actually interfacing with the dealerships can be so challenging.
Yes.
And I have kind of one view of it. Elizabeth has something completely different because she's talking to them on the phone almost at a corporate level. And then I put my boots on the ground and I see a completely different thing sometimes.
Right.
So, and I'm thinking about this inspection that just happened and that we recently did.
At a large chain.
It's at least a regional chain.
Okay.
It's pretty large, but they probably have 20 or 30 locations. So a large size business. And we've interfaced with this dealership before. And so a year ago, what was it like dealing with that dealership?
There would be no relationship.
The door was closed in our face.
0 inspections.
And we've talked about it before. What happened at the RV show about a year ago?
You got confronted by someone from this chain.
Someone just walked up to me cold.
Well, he thought we might want to buy one of their RVs.
Right.
And then they realized that you were an RV inspector.
I think as soon as he saw my face.
And he was like, oh, shit.
Like, that's Mike from Cozy Camper.
Then you guys engaged, and there was you de-escalating tactics, and it got a little heated on his end. But
he chewed me out.
Yeah.
This dude chewed me out in front of, and you can go back and watch. We've made a different video about it.
Did. I think a different podcast.
Yeah, he chewed me out in front of.
It was uncomfortable.
Like not just Elizabeth was there, but we were standing in front of the table with the staff for the National RV Training Academy. They were sitting right there, and they watched the whole thing. And I just was like, okay, I hear you, right? Like, and we ultimately talked. So, I've been hearing from other local inspectors that had actually made it onto their lot, that it was super hostile, and that it never worked out. And until that time, we had never been on their lot.
There was a no inspection.
There was a no inspector policy.
Yeah.
But that's changed.
This year, since then, maybe a few months after, probably right maybe March.
Since we've been back, for sure. I'm sure it started
We have
before
done
then.
several now.
Yeah.
Several. And they've overall gone really well.
Right.
I would say, we'll say 9 out of 10 have gone pretty well. I mean,
it was 10 out of 10 until this weekend.
Until this one.
So, and just so everyone's aware, the dealership chain, when we went to go do inspections there, they said, hey, we have some requirements. We have to check your certifications.
Fair.
We want to make sure you're at least a certified inspector. And they said optimally also a certified RV technician.
Check.
Okay, cool. Here's our certification. That's not a problem. They wanted to see our insurance and made sure that it met their minimum requirements. So there was a dollar amount that they wanted to make sure that we had. Cool. Here's our broker, and here's a copy of our insurance. That's no problem at all. And then every time I go onto their lot, they make me sign a waiver that says, hey, I won't sue them if I get hurt on their lot, number one, and that I take responsibility for anything that I break out of negligence. So if I put my foot through a skylight, we agree to fix that. It's not the same as if I find the refrigerator is broken, that's my problem. But if I set the refrigerator on fire because of my negligence, then that would be my problem. Those are all reasonable asks.
Yes.
Those are, and I encourage, if you're a dealership and you are listening to this, require that. By all means.
Yeah.
I think it's great because you keep some of the less professional inspectors, and they do exist, but you keep them off the lot.
Oh, God. I'm sure they're hearing that through my microphone.
I just almost died because
Sorry about that.
I was speaking positively of a dealership. I never do that.
No, stop it.
No, I'm back.
But
I was hoping you would just take over for me as I'm like hacking my brain out.
No, it's your story. I'm just here.
So, yeah, we've done a bunch of inspections at that dealership chain, and it's been fine until this last week.
Right.
So, and this was a long-distance inspection. We traveled round trip 1,000 miles for.
I called ahead of time.
Right. And so just could you kind of tell what's the process for when somebody calls us and, we have to work things out with the dealer?
Yeah. So how it works is I always say that I want the client to be the first point of contact to the dealer. So I ask that they call the salesperson first to let them know that we are coming to do an inspection, run the date by them. Once they get that preliminary okay, then I call and I follow up and I say, hey, just want to make sure we're good to go for this date. I don't want the first person they talk to about an inspection to be me. I want them to know it's coming, kind of be ready for it, have an idea of what to expect.
Yeah, the client makes the introduction.
And then I call and follow up, usually a few days beforehand, just to make sure that it's going to have all the things, the propane, water, power, sewer, if applicable. I just like to make sure that we're good to go. It's just sort of a courtesy, and our agreement even says that Elizabeth may reach out, but I do every time.
Right. By contract, though, it's the seller's responsibility, or I'm sorry, the buyer's responsibility, our client, to make sure that all these things are there. And we spell out exactly what's needed, and we give them a printable checklist
to give to the
dealer.
The seller. So it's just a courtesy. It's just a, hey, how are you? I'm Elizabeth. Mike's going to be coming to do the inspection. Typically, it's a little more difficult for dealers that we haven't been to before, or ones we don't go to too often. We have some around the San Antonio area that you go to regularly, so for those it's not a big deal at all. It's, hey, Mike's coming on the 1st. Does that work for y'all? Okay, great. He'll see you between 9 and 10 a.m.
Right.
But for others, everything okay out there?
Yeah, I was just distracted. It was an unknown car.
ADHD.
Well, this is why we close the windows. So
is it? Because I'm not having a problem.
Like a dog. Who's that guy over there?
But for the ones like this one, I called, like I always do, a few days before. The salesperson was so nice, so kind. We actually exchanged more than just pleasantries, which doesn't usually happen. Talked about our kids, and
you were chatting.
Yeah, it was actually really nice. I texted Mike. I was like, "Hey, you're good to go for Saturday." Like, super nice, friendly. It's a great way to kind of judge how you think it's going to go when Mike gets there. Typically, I'm like, "Oh, good luck, Mike." Like, get your de-escalation tactics ready. Or I'm like, "Oh, yay, it went super well, super friendly." And so, you went into this one unknowing,
thinking everything was great.
Yeah.
We talked to the client who had said the same thing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I talked to the seller. They said everything was good to go.
Yeah.
And we were...
It seemed like a seamless one. It seemed like we were going to have no problems.
Yeah, and even better was the client said, hey, I'm going to go there personally in the morning of the inspection and just make sure all our ducks are in a row.
Which I was like, wow, that'll be really nice.
Yeah.
Because having the client there just to start the inspection typically ensures that everything's hooked up the way it's supposed to be. It's a little motivation.
And again,
if you will,
they can facilitate the introduction.
Right.
So like, hey, this is Mike, this is Joe. So
it's just nice. It's not necessary, but it's nice.
And okay, cool. We thought this is a new RV, and it had been sitting for a while. So, you know, there's going to be some dramas with it. But in terms of the interaction with the dealership, we anticipated smooth sailing. And that's not what happened. So if the phone rings, it first goes to Elizabeth. If she doesn't answer, it rolls over to me. And I usually don't answer, but I knew this person was from out of state. The call rolled over to me. I saw the area code come up, and I was like, oh, it's probably the client. They're there right now. They call me, and he was upset. He was furious, and he said to me, I'm here now. For some reason, they're being really obstinate about this inspection, and they didn't want to, it wasn't set up in time, so it had not been connected to electricity, so the fridge wasn't cold. There was no water, there was no propane, there was no battery. So this RV was not ready for inspection at all. And I'm 500 miles from home, so there's no
going back.
There's no going back.
Right.
So we can do it. I mean, we can come back, but it's going to be a whole other inspection charge, right? Because we're a business. We have to charge for these kind of things. So we get there, and the client talked to the dealership, and they moved it into a spot that had electricity. Cool. I'll just test the fridge last to make sure that it's, comes to temperature. Cool, that's fine. They begrudgingly put a battery into it, but they would not give propane. They said, there's no propane, we're not going to do any propane. And the crazy thing about that, and they said, because, we're worried that it's going to leak and it's going to explode. Well, yeah, that's what I'm trying to find out. I want to know if it's going to leak and might explode.
Hear me out, though. Shouldn't they have tested it then?
Well,
if they're worried that it was going to leak and explode?
In the best case scenario for dealerships is I want them to do their PDI before I come in.
Absolutely.
Because they're going to be kind of gross violations from the manufacturer that, if they can fix before I get there, because it's going to make the product look worse.
Right.
If they've never touched, and that is what happened today. So.
And usually this chain does do theirs first.
Usually this chain historically, since we've been going there, they want to go through it first to put their best foot forward, and then I go through it and I still always find more things
Right.
because I'm a second set of eyes at that point. This dealership said, well, we're not going to touch it at all. And it was clear they'd never touched it. So there was the propane, and that means that I can't test anything that's propane related. Anything. So I can't test for leaks, no furnace, no water heater, no cooktop, none of that stuff. So that's a lot of major systems that aren't getting tested. And
Right.
the fear was that because it was cold out, well, if I can't warm the inside, then how can I turn the air conditioners on? Because it's so cold out.
Right.
So that it creates a spider web of problems. And then they had never touched it, and that was evident. Because later, when I put the water in, first the valve was missing for the freshwater tank, so it wouldn't retain any water. Water just dumped out the bottom of the RV. So that means that we're not testing that tank, and we're not testing the water pump because it doesn't retain any water. And then I said, okay, well, I guess we can at least do city water. I connected it to city water, and the tankless water heater exploded and dumped water all over the floor. Well, okay, you might say, well, okay, we know that the tankless water heater doesn't work. Well, there's no bypass on it, and I can't just let it dump water into the coach.
Right.
So now we can't test water. So now we're in a place where we don't have propane. We can't test any water systems. We can't test for leaks. It was plugged into the wall at the dealership. Kept tripping breakers. I went out to reset it. Spark shot out of the breaker panel box when I reset it. So we had to move it again into another spot where there was actual, functional electricity.
Which we're typically sticklers for not moving that RV.
Moving. But I said, well, if I can't, what was the point of me coming here if I can't turn anything on?
And again, it's a travel inspection, so you're trying to be as go with the flow as you can be, right? Because that's what we do. We try really hard. We joke that you're the king of making it happen.
Yes. I'm trying to make it happen for this client. So then all those problems. Then there's the stuff that wasn't induced by the dealership that's actually wrong. So 2 out of those 3, I warmed the inside of the coach using the electric fireplace. 2 out of 3 air conditioners don't work. The kitchen exhaust fan doesn't open. There's tons of decaying sealant. The couch is ripped. There's all this stuff in there. And so the client, let me back up, the dealership didn't talk to me all day. Didn't acknowledge my existence as a human being. Didn't look at me all day. Very unusual to do that. Then, so we got the email today that the client said, well, you found all this stuff, and then the inspection report is substantially incomplete.
Mm-hmm.
So who knows what you would have found if you could have done all these things. We don't want to buy the RV from this dealer.
Yeah.
And we're really off-put by the conduct of the dealership. And they also said that the seller believed that there was a conflict between the seller and the GM because they don't get along or something.
The buyer said that.
Yeah, the buyer said that the actual dealer, the salesman, doesn't get along with the GM or something.
Right.
And so I guess there was some accusation of sabotage. This is all buyer facing.
Yeah.
So this is what the buyer saw. And you're stepping back looking from this and you're like, all right, whatever, this RV had its flaws. The dealership made it 10 times worse.
Yes.
And now that client is going to tell everyone who will listen about their experience at that dealership.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to spider out from there. This was a self-inflicted gunshot wound for this dealership. And we've seen it over and over again. This was a really bad example of it.
Right.
But we see these self-owns all the time. And I don't know why. We never see it coming either. We're kind of always like, oh, this might happen.
There was another dealership, a different chain, I believe, and same type of thing. I had a great experience with the salesperson over the phone. I remember texting you and being like, hey, you're good to go. I just talked to so-and-so. Super nice. I think this one, I don't remember where this one was. Again, kind of far.
Yeah.
But I remember being like, hey, this guy was super nice. You're all set for the inspection. Then you got there and you're like, he was kind of a jerk.
Right.
And I was like, what? Why? What?
Totally rude to me.
Yeah, I don't. You remember which one I'm talking about?
I remember exactly the one you're
because
talking about.
I don't always tell him, wow, that guy was super nice. But I remember this conversation, and I remember being like, wow, I feel like I need to tell Mike, this guy was really nice on the phone. I just what a good first encounter.
People like you. You're delightful on the phone.
Sometimes.
And that's so okay. So that RV inspection that you just described is a great example, right? So they put it out there, and this time they actually made it ready for me. I had everything that we needed. he was kind of rude, but the RV was a wreck.
Right.
And the dealership wasn't selling it as a...
This one?
No, this one.
This one?
Nope, number 2. So the dealership wasn't selling it as a as-is unit. They were like, oh, this is, nice. It's whatever. We've done all this work to it. And then you find, like, giant cracks in the wall. And it's a wreck. So,
Right.
again, this time, though, the cell phone was how they marketed this unit. Right? If they were selling it like, hey, this is an as-is. We're selling it wholesale. Just, we're not really going to do anything to it. Cool. Like, some people will buy that. And they hire me because they want to know what the project will be. But in that case, they were like, oh, yeah, so this is a 2018. It's in great shape. And it wasn't.
Right.
At all. Maybe they don't know. But the issue is that they didn't say they didn't know.
Right.
They said, oh, it's in the best shape in the world.
Right.
And
Which is not true.
if they had just managed expectations clearly, it would have been fine. And then this one, I know that you remember. It's a dealership we've been to 10,000 times. We've been there 100 times. And the only drama at that dealership is scheduling because bay space is limited where they can put us. And if they have a lot of deliveries that day, it's hard for them to give us space to do it, which is reasonable.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
we will do anything we can to like, we don't usually work on Monday. Would it be helpful if we come on Monday, right? Like we'll do what we can to make the sale work.
Yes.
And so we've been there 100 times. Never been a drama. It's actually one of our I have thought one of our best sort of, we've pointed to this dealership before and said how great they are. And you called to set up to make, verify all the utilities, and they told you what? That there was going to be no propane, no battery.
That's right.
Yes.
I remember now. Yeah, it was taking me a minute to remember which one. And then, yeah, he was like, based on our policy, no propane.
No battery.
No battery, unless the client purchases it.
Yeah,
or
they have
something.
to. They wanted them to buy it. It was a new RV, and they said the client has to buy it from us.
So I called the client and I was like, "Hey, this is what's happening. I just wanted to let you know that we've not experienced this before."
And you asked, "Is this?"
I said, "Is this a new policy?" And he was like, "No, this has been our policy forever." And I was like, "Huh, like that doesn't."
And it was confusing to me
feel right because we've never had an issue.
I said, "Well, who did you talk to?" And you told me. I'm like, I met this person.
Yeah.
I know who it is. I know him by name. And like, who are you talking to? That it's
yeah.
and so. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say. So I'm talking with the client, and the client was like, "Oh, well, the seller is telling us that he's never had any inspectors be so shocked by this policy before, and he doesn't understand why you're so upset." And I was like, "Well, first of all, we're not upset. We don't care.
We don't care.
I'm just trying to make the best experience for our customer. Again, our mission, vision, values is like worry-free camping." Our job is to like help the process go as smooth as possible. It starts with the inspection. We truly try to bend over backwards if we can to make it go well. And if you're putting this roadblock up, like that's not fair. And this guy also, to be fair, was like brand new to RVing. He was moving in it full time, small kids, and I really feel
I think he was military. They were about to retire.
Yeah, and I'm like trying to really make it as smooth as possible. And
we gave them a discount for that reason, right? Because they're military.
And then just like we try to go above and beyond, and then you tell us like, oh, no propane unless he pays like an obscene amount of money for it.
It was gonna be like $300 or something.
Which is like stupid, and this guy couldn't afford it. Like he was already kind of stretched thin by getting this inspection, buying the new truck to be able to pull this RV. Like I don't know.
Again, military family trying to enjoy his retirement.
Yeah,
right?
which
he has given
given
20 years of service to the United States military, right? Like, yeah, okay, that we were taking care of this client to begin with,
right?
And what's bizarre, so first it's a new RV. They're obligated to include a battery and propane in the sale, which is weird. And you might be wondering, the listener, we can't provide the propane and battery because let's say that I detect a 12-volt problem. Well, we won't know if it's my battery or if it's the coach.
Right.
So the idea is that it should be the equipment that goes with the RV.
He's going to have upon delivery.
Right. And so like if I bring a propane tank and I detect a leak, well, how do we know it isn't my tank?
Right.
Right. So that's why it should be the coach. And there's also a liability there, right? What if I plug my battery and something's wrong with it and I short the coach out, right? No, it should be the dealership because it's the dealer's property. They should be putting their best foot forward and presenting this in a take-home ready condition.
He also said, I forgot this part. He was like, "Oh, well, when he comes to do his walkthrough, we'll give him propane." And I was like, "Well, we don't go through very much propane when you're doing the tests that
At
you
most
do."
a half tank.
And I was like, "So if you fill it up, that will still be there
Yeah.
when he does his walkthrough. You just do it a little early. The walkthrough was like a week from then.
Right.
What was the resolution?
So when we got there, they were true. So two things happened. One, as soon as I walked in the door, they all recognized me. Like they were like, "Oh, it's Mike." And like all these salesmen that I'd worked with before came out and talked to me. Even one that had left and gone to another dealership and then came back was like, "Mike, you're here. I just saw you a couple weeks ago." I was like, "I'm surprised to see you because you were just at a different dealer." And so we're all shaking hands and cracking jokes and stuff. And then I was like, "Well, I'm looking." It was actually the sales manager. I was like, "I'm looking for the sales manager doing an inspection." And he comes out and he's like, "Oh yeah, let me go find it for you." There was no RV. It did not exist, right? Like, so it wasn't there. They ultimately brought an RV out and they set it down. And I looked at it. And our process is I take a picture of the VIN and I send it to you and you verify that it's the same. So two sets of eyes look at it. Immediately we were both like, "No,
Not right.
That's not the right VIN." Then I looked at it, I'm like, "It's not even the right floor plan." So I go back inside. I'm like, "Hey, this is the wrong. That's a mistake of fact, right? Like, hey, they grabbed the porter grabbed the wrong RV." But then, so they go find the right RV, which means again it hasn't been connected to power. The fridge isn't going to cool. So they bring it, they drop it off, and they are adamant at this point, no propane and battery. And I said, "Okay, cool. We'll call the client." And the client calls and is like, "I need there to be propane and battery." And so finally they relent. And they're like, "Okay, cool. We can have the propane and battery." I ask the people there. They don't know why. There's a drama about it. So they put the propane and battery in it. This RV, this brand new, was a wreck. It took me like 25 minutes to get the door open because it was wedged shut. The inside wallpaper was delaminating. There was all these problems with this RV, and it was a wreck. But so now there's two problems. There's these things that are broken, and now the trust between the dealership and the buyer is broken, right? Because they said all these things can't happen, and then we just get there and they do. And and this is like we could go on all day. We actually have a whole video that we're editing right now about dealerships acting squirrely and how it torpedoes deals. We could go on all day about these sorts of things that we find, and absolutely none of it is necessary.
Right.
Like it's not necessary at all. Like we're not trying. We'll do anything we. This is the truth. If people don't buy RVs, we don't inspect RVs.
Right.
And you might watch our videos and be like, "Oh, these people." No, I want you to go buy RVs. We live in an RV. RV life is amazing. For basically no reason at all, the dealership will inject all of this drama instead of just acquiescing to simple requests.
Right.
Okay, like
we're supposed to be a team. We're not supposed to be like opposites. Like we all are working towards the same goal.
Right. We all want. This person is so excited about this RV, they're
Right.
willing to spend $1,000 or more to have me go out and inspect it.
Right.
Right. Like that's how excited.
And they want to buy it from you, the dealer.
Right. You've come this far.
They like you have them.
Yes.
You're like we can work together to make this work. You know.
And this is what I try to say is, everyone wins. So literally everyone. So the buyer gets to buy an RV that they feel confident in. The dealership gets to sell it. The techs that work there are stoked because they get to bill the manufacturer if it's new for more warranty items, right? So they get paid flat rate. They get to do it. We get to do an inspection. We have bills to pay, so we get paid. We get to have a business.
Yeah.
Everyone wins, and that's how we present it to our clients. We're like, "Hey, yeah, no, we'll go find these things. They'll either fix it. You can negotiate the price." Or if it's catastrophic, you can walk away. That's the time where nobody wins. But at least the dealership now knows, or the seller, like, hey, something's catastrophically wrong with this RV. And a lot of times when I do an inspection and it's catastrophic, they end up selling it at auction, getting rid of it, because they're not going to the ones with good intention are not going to knowingly sell it to one of their clients now that we know it's got water damage or the transmission's wrecked or, whatever it is. Maybe someone will buy it at wholesale, at auction.
And take it apart or do whatever they're going to do.
But for whatever reason, the dealerships have not, some dealerships, because we always get comments like, hey, there's outliers. I totally get it.
Absolutely.
There are plenty of great dealerships out there. There's one right here that we go to all the time.
I always hold my breath when I say, yes, can you tell me where the RV is located? I always go, And then I like let out a breath when I hear a certain ones. I'm like,
You're like, oh, thank God.
and then other ones I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we work with them all the time, no problem. So not all dealers are created equal, and I do think that's important. And maybe one day we'll share who the good ones are and who the not so good ones are. But at this point, I don't think we want to do that.
No,
because we're trying still very hard, as difficult as it is. We're still trying to build relationships with even the most challenging ones.
Yes, and there's still a lot of like moving parts here because the RV inspection service is new.
Still new, yeah.
It's still new. And I went to a dealership in Livingston the other day that never heard of an RV inspector.
Yeah.
They were totally unprepared for.
There was another one in Corpus where it was the same thing. She was super nice. She's like, well, what do I need to do?
Yeah, she was.
What does this mean?
Yeah, they were, and so the industry is.
Yeah.
The industry is still reacting to us, and the chain that I mentioned at the beginning, that is setting policies and they've told. I talked to like their vice president of operations or happiness. I don't remember, but. I don't remember, but he's super nice guy, really squared away, very impressed by him. And he said, yeah, we see that the customer wants this, the clients want this, there's a school that's preparing them. And he said, yeah, there's so much social media traction about it. And I was like, that's my fault, that's me. And he laughed, but he said, yeah, if this is what they want, we have to figure out how to make this work.
Right.
And I said, sweet, let me know how I can help you make this work. That's what I want to do, because I don't want there to be this adversarial space.
There doesn't need to be.
There doesn't need to be. And especially the younger demographics, particularly, have no patience for dealership reindeer games.
Right.
Like, what is it? Ford's going to sell cars on Amazon now. So.
Are they really?
Yes.
Oh, jeez.
So I don't know how many or what the deal is, but, they don't want to deal with it.
Right.
Especially on a new one. Like, hey, yeah, I want to have a guy look at it, tell me if it's broken or not. Okay, this is broken. Sweet. Can you fix it? Okay, when?
Yeah.
That's it. It doesn't really hurt anyone. And to their defense, in the dealership's defense, and our side of the industry has not done a good job overcoming this. Not all inspectors are created equal.
Right.
I'm fully aware of that. Not all inspectors are created equal. There are some in town here that I shudder every time I hear about them, right? One's not really an inspector. He's just a felon. He's pretending to be an inspector.
He's just a felon?
He's just a felon. And he's still doing felonious things, but he says he's an inspector. He got run out of Washington State for being a felonious technician. But we can have a whole other podcast about that.
Or just about that.
Because I know things because of my prior career in law enforcement. And so we're still reacting to that, for sure. They're reacting to that, but this dealership that has this policy is a great reaction to that. That's a great way to solve that problem. It's like, yeah, cool. That's going to keep that dude out because he's not able to produce the credentials.
Right. That's fair, right? We do the work. We put the time in to be professional, to build the relationships, have our insurance, do all the things.
Right. And even on our side, so I'm a certified inspector and a certified technician. There's not a lot of inspectors who are also technicians, but actually focus on inspections.
Right.
So there's a lot of technicians who are also inspectors, but they basically don't do inspections. There's
they do
one right down the
technician.
street. But they're skilled technicians. I don't have an objection to that. I do have an objection, or at least a caution, to inspectors who are not also technicians.
Right.
So if they're straight out of the academy and they don't have any experience, they don't have an additional certification, and they're out there, they can make a mess too. So I get it. So that's why you want to see that additional certification if you are a dealership. And at this point, the RV Technical Institute in Indiana, you can get a level 2 technician certification online without unassing your bed for $600.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's the barrier to entry is really low. And if you can't at least do that, you don't deserve to be on a lot. Like I went to the in-person class. I wrenched on it myself, right, and had to go do the practicals. There's a difference. It is better. I went to NRVTA in person where you have to actually demonstrate to someone that you know how to fix these things.
Right.
And take a written test versus, RVTI, which they also have an in-person version, which is great. But if you don't want to do that, you can go online and you can get it. It's the same certification. And if you can't even do that, then, what are you doing?
Our son just keeps looking through the door.
He's so silly.
So the point is that it doesn't have to be this difficult. It can be a mutual beneficial relationship where everyone wins. It's just frustrating because that is not yet
always the case.
Right. It's definitely, I would say, to kind of wrap up this point, is I will say when I call dealers to set up inspections, I don't really hear the words, oh, but they don't need an inspection. What do they need an inspection for? I don't really hear that anymore.
No.
I don't really get much pushback from that angle.
That,
even if they believe it, they know enough to not say it now.
That angle, I think, has been thoroughly defeated in the private in the sphere of conversation. I don't think that that's a.
It's more so, okay, fine, come do your thing, but we're not going to help you.
Yeah.
We're not going to do anything to make your life easier.
Right, and that's a thing too. Is when I do an inspection, just go put it over there. Show me where the hoses are, and I'll be out of your hair in 6 to 8 hours.
Just let me on the lot.
Just that's it.
Plug it in.
Again, a legitimate dealer complaint is when you have these goofballs come in and they're like, "How do I run the leveling system?"
We did have one that was like, "Yeah, just make sure he brings all his own tools. Like, we're not giving him a ladder." I was like, "Of course he's going to bring his own tools. Who wouldn't?"
We heard that and we were like, "Wait, what?"
I was like, "He always brings. Yes, of course he has his ladder."
Well, and I was like, number one, I have better tools than they do.
Yeah.
I was like, so don't steal my tools while I'm on your lot. But two, I'm like, who's not bringing their tools?
I have questions if you're not bringing your own
who's
ladder.
Not, who's not bringing a ladder?
Who's using, no. So.
We know the answer to that.
We do know the answer.
But theoretically, we're like, what are you doing coming out here? We know who you are. We're watching you. I know that you listen to the podcast too.
Stop it.
So, but yeah. So again, reasonable complaint, but that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
It's these dealers that make it 10 times worse just by not telling the truth. Just tell the truth. Just tell the truth. And if we can, and here's the thing, we've said it. We want to be collaborative to the extent that is possible, right? Because we do work for the client, we do have that relationship. But if we can be helpful in facilitating this conversation, we want to do it.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to.
Exactly.
Because even people see our social media, and they will call us and they'll say, "The ship is sinking." They'll say, "Hey, who in Austin, San Antonio sells Alliance that works with you?" Right? And we'll be like, "Oh, these 3 or 4 dealers do it." Right? We refer people like that all the time.
Absolutely.
All the time. And that's a common lead source. Hey buddy, we're still recording. Are you okay?
I can't come to you right now.
We can't come in there
right now. Go in your
now.
room, please. I'll be there in 5 minutes.
We can hear every sound you make when we're recording, so if you just give us 10 more minutes, we'll be all the way done. That's about right. We should have about 10 minutes left. Sorry, interrupted by our son again. This is what happens when you're a full-time RVer and your son's room is right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we can be helpful in facilitating that conversation, we want to do it. We want everyone to feel good when they come out of it. You know, I want to feel good. You want to feel good.
I feel great.
I do feel great, Elizabeth.
Should we do? Are you done with this point, or do you have more to?
I could talk about this all day.
I was gonna say maybe we could do some highs and lows.
Yeah, Elizabeth, why don't we do some highs and lows for this week? Let's start.
I hear a little sense of.
This is a low.
Sarcasm.
This is a low right now. No. We are done with that point. I went on. I started to rant. So.
You don't rant.
I do rant. I'm gonna run for president of RVs one day, and I'll be great at it.
My high is how far ahead we've been booked for the last 2 months. That has been a really good feeling. Until this very week, we have been 2 to 3 weeks ahead.
Yep.
And that is such a good feeling.
And the only reason that we're not ahead this week is because we told people no, because we were originally going to be unavailable, and then our schedule changed.
Yeah. And so now we're available, and Mike is trying to enjoy a slower pace week. Is it going well for you, or is it tricky?
No, it's great. I always just, like, anytime there's a slowness, though, I'm like, that's it. My family's going to starve.
It's true. He does go to the worst case
like,
scenario.
literally, this is it. We're done.
Yeah.
I'm going to, yeah.
In August, he's like, we're closing the doors. That's it.
We're done.
He's like, what could be our backup plan? I was like, oh, my God. Like, just a slow week. We're fine.
I'm like, I'll start doing sit-ups so we can get on OnlyFans. Let's do it.
But that's been definitely my high. What's your high?
I would have to say, so I got to speak to my colleagues, the other inspectors and technicians at the expo. So Technicians Association, the Inspectors Association. They had a joint expo, and I got to talk to them just about. It was like a hype speech. I wasn't trying to sell them anything, and it was just like, hey, like we've been successful. This is some stuff that's worked. You can do it too, because I'm just a goofball, right? I was a cop before. Like I don't have.
If you can do it, anyone can do
Yeah,
it.
if I'm just some street cop can figure out how to make podcasts and optimize for search engines, then you can too. So that was really cool. I got to meet a lot of there was a lot of cool people there that I got to meet. It was cool to hang out with Joshua from RV Gear and Far in person.
Nice, because he's there doing his inspection.
That's right.
Training,
so it was
right?
cool to hang out with him for a little bit. We'd done a podcast together. We've talked, we text each other, but it was cool to hang out in person. So that was really
Nice.
cool. And you guys came to visit while
We
I was
did.
there. That was such a wonderful surprise.
I tried.
Until our son got sick.
It's true. We had to leave,
Yeah,
but
you had to leave.
we tried.
Yeah, the everybody at actually a number of people at the expo were like, "Where's Elizabeth?" And I was like, "Oh, she had to bail. Our son was sick."
Yeah, I didn't want to spread his germs to all the RV
There would be
inspectors
no
and
more RV
technicians in
inspectors.
Texas.
It's a super spreader
Yeah.
event from our 7-year-old to the
Yeah.
entire inspection network.
And I was going to say my low, which is not really that low of a low, but was you traveling so much the last few months. It's been tricky doing all the things without you here. So
Yes.
as much as it's a blessing, it was also difficult. So I'm
Yeah.
grateful that time is kind of wrapping up, at least for a little while.
We were doing a lot of inspections in Dallas, and it was causing me to go to Dallas. Like we put our other RV there,
Yeah.
just so I'd have a place to crash.
Again, blessing, very grateful. Wouldn't say no. That is in our service area. It's just difficult.
Yeah. And so the thing for us is like Houston, like Katie's only 2 hours away from here, and there's a lot of dealers in Katy, so we can go to Houston and then just come home at night. It's a long drive, but we'll make it happen. There's a lot of dealers in Dallas, but the closest one is 3.5 hours away.
Yeah.
So that's a little far to drive to and from on the straight.
I mean, he could do it, but
I have
don't
done
know,
it.
He doesn't want to.
I don't want to. No, I would say the low for me was probably this last dealer inspection.
Yeah.
I mean, it was number one. It was freezing cold, right? It was super windy, the Panhandle, right?
That's true.
And the dealer was so hostile and difficult to work with, and it wrecked the day, and it changed my perception of this dealership chain. I'm actually going to reach out to their corporate entity that I know to be like, I don't know what happened. That was a total, but it was, and then it was such a waste for both me and the client to go out there. And I had previously been excited about going out there because it was an area I hadn't really been to before, and they totally ruined it. So,
yeah. Hopefully we get a redo somewhere else in that area to not, completely.
well, that's the thing. They emailed us today,
That's true.
and they said, we're not going to go with that dealer. We're looking for another one. We'll have you go out to do it. And I know this is a common thing. The dealers are like, yeah, you like to torpedo deals so that you get more inspections.
No.
We almost never do second inspections. Almost never, even when they walk away.
Right.
There's first our sale ratio is probably 90%
Right.
when we go actually do an inspection. Probably 95% of the time they end up buying it, even when they're in horrible condition.
Which upsets us.
Yeah,
Sometimes we have to
we get mad.
stand back a little and be like, it's not us. All we can do is inform them.
Yeah.
We can't control it.
We did that video about that Newmar that I inspected that was like literally falling apart, and that person bought it.
First time RVer, and we were like,
And then they called us to come do repairs.
A
and we're
week
like, Yeah, a
later.
week later. I was like, it's the same Newmar,
sure was.
and
Super disappointing.
I was surprised that they bought it, but whatever. Maybe they want to strip it down and fix. I don't know.
We can't control it. All we can do is give everyone the tools and the information.
But at least if they do buy something that's a wreck, they know it's a wreck.
Yes.
They know what condition it's in.
We just try to inform them.
That's the whole point. We don't tell you whether you should buy it or not. But like this inspection that, so it's 8 hours total driving. I stayed in a hotel to get there. It's 8 hours to drive home. The customer paid a lot more than they would if it was a local inspection because you got to pay for the travel. And it was all for waste.
Yeah.
It was all a waste. At least if we could have completed the inspection, they had the whole picture, they could have made it, this buying decision. But instead, so they have like this partial report and then some emotions.
Their hand was kind of forced,
And that feels like a waste to me. And I don't like it. I don't like negative dealer interactions.
Yeah.
I try to be positive. That was a definite low for me.
Okay.
I'm still we made a whole podcast about why I'm upset about it. So
Yeah.
I'm going to, for everyone's awareness, I'm going to send this video to that chain and be like, hey, we're talking about you.
Yeah. Even though they probably know.
They know that we're talking about you. And We're coming for you.
And so to the salesperson, I had a delightful conversation with you over the phone. I feel
It was
like
not that person.
it was not that
It
person.
was this.
It was a different person. The person I spoke with was not there.
I did something I don't normally do.
What'd you do?
In a report. So the client was there with me, and I said, who specifically told you we couldn't do this, and who has been the problem? And he said, oh, these two people, and he showed me the business card. I took a picture of those two business cards, and I included it in the report, and I said, these two people were the roadblocks.
It was not the person I spoke with. She was very nice.
Super nice. And that way, when this person interfaces with corporate sometime in the future, they just have this nice inspection report that I purposely flagged with this information so that they can. It's something I would have done when I was a cop, right? Like, who said this?
Yeah.
So show me that screenshot.
That's how you know it was such a bad experience, though, because you don't often, or if ever, do things like that.
I don't like to dime people out by name if I can avoid it, but in this case, two people wrecked the experience for everyone, and they're even if they never hear about it, like from their own like bosses, this client's going to tell people,
right?
So are we. Like if somebody else were to call us and be like, "Hey, I want you to go to this dealership in this location,"
I will be the one to say like, "Hey, we haven't had a great."
Because what do you say when somebody asks us to go to a hostile dealership?
I say in the past we've had some difficulties working with them, or they've not always been the most open. So I suggest you call them and run this by them first. Make sure you let them know exactly what we need. I try to be on top of it. Like actually we had one a few weeks ago where it was with a certain dealer that they're very nice. They're very, very nice to work with, but never do they have the right things for us to do the inspection. They never have the right hookups. They never have the RV in a place that they say they're going to. So with this client, I was like, hey, we're happy to do this inspection, but I need you to really press them, really push them to make sure that it has this, this, and this, and it's in this safe location. Like, I really need you to be clear. And then I even made him put it in writing, which I've never done.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about now.
I said, like, hey, I want to see in writing that you have confirmed that there'll be this and this and this. And what happened?
They had all those things.
They had all those things. Now, I don't want to have to always go out of my way to do it that.
Right.
But I will because I want the best for the client.
Because there's another dealer in town where we like, hey, just so you know, we always have this problem with this dealership. They say that this it's always water.
Yeah.
Like
That's right. I say
it's always water. So you say like, hey.
Typically, they only fill the tanks. They will not give us city water hookup. Just telling you ahead of time. Maybe they'll be different this time, but I want you to know going in that this is a limitation they always put on us.
Right. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Kinda. Like they usually only do water, or in the water tank. So once in a great while, they'll be up by the hose.
Yeah.
But like if the GM is there, he's like, no hose.
Yeah. So I try to be honest. I want to set people up for success. So I don't want to hide the things I know. I don't go out of my way to be like, this dealer sucks. Don't go to them. I try to make it work, but I like to be honest.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah. Like, and then there's the other one over here where we've said, hey, the water is always an issue, and then the dealer will say, no, there's water. This is a different water deal. It's always water. And then they'll say, then we'll get there, and there'll be like a tenth of a tank of water in the tank.
You're like, that's not enough.
And then like the first thing, like, yeah, was there water? Yes, I personally witnessed them fill it up, and then it's empty. And you're like, okay, can we move it now so we can fill it up with water?
I forgot. This is a different water issue, but you're right.
They're both in town here. And but the first one rather, that you talked about is otherwise great.
That's true. And they tell us that limitation.
Yes.
Which I appreciate, which is why I know to tell the clients that limitation.
Yeah, the first one that she was talking about where the GM, otherwise great. It's never been a problem to go do inspections there. And the reason they don't do water is because two goofball inspectors blew up a freshwater tank. Actually, they blew up a black tank that they thought was a fresh tank, and they were putting water into it, not monitoring it. It ruptured. Which I can understand that reaction.
Yeah. Which
is why it's important that you carefully vet the inspector. So, but otherwise, yeah, they're fine. They always have electricity. They always give me enough safe space. The water is the drama versus this place that,
just like, it's filled up. Is it?
They routinely put the wrong RV out, right? They, I'll say like, hey, this thing is broken, and so this came up. I know it's a story, but so they said I went there, and there's two gauges for propane. One's on the tank and one's on like a little computer screen. The one on the tank said full. the one on the computer screen said empty. And that's what the report says. That one gauge says full, the other one says empty. And they gave the client, the hardest time. They're like, well, if you overfill it, it can reset the sensor, and then all you got to do is use some. And that's why it does this. And they're like, what kind of credentials does this guy have? Does he know how to use this system? And the client is like hearing all this. And to her credit, she was like, okay, so if it's a known issue on an overfill, and all you have to do is burn it down a little bit, can you just burn it down a little bit so I can see so that I can see if it works? Like Mike didn't say that it was going to explode. He just said that the gauges were different. So that dealer injected all this acrimony into
Which didn't need to happen.
Right, and so like, oh yeah, we'll just burn it down. All she wanted to do was see that the gauge worked.
Yeah.
So just burn it down, right? Turn the furnace on.
Yeah.
For if it was super overfull, it would be like exploding, right? So it can't be that.
Right.
So just turn the furnace on for a couple hours, and burn off some gas.
Yeah.
And it will be fine. For whatever reason, they decided to make
their life harder.
They decided to make this way harder than it needs to be. At their own doesn't affect me.
Right.
It's their own.
Well,
expense.
it made us look bad.
Yeah, until the client had the, wherewithal to be like, he didn't say it was going to explode.
Yeah.
He just said it was the gauges weren't the same.
Yeah.
Right. But all right. I promised you an hour. It's 56 minutes.
We also have a visitor behind the camera, so
yeah, we're going to have to talk to him about that.
Wrap this up, but yeah. Thanks for listening.
Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Later, y'all. Bye.